China and Russia recently made some significant decisions. They are about to agree to begin construction of the enormous Power of Siberia 2 pipeline in 2024, which will transport Russian gas via Mongolia to Beijing by 2030. Everyone is raving about this massive 6,700-kilometer pipeline, which will transform both countries forever. What does this actually mean for the world at large and for the oil and gas sector as a whole? The annual capacity of this proposed pipeline is 50 billion cubic meters of gas. It is nearly equal to Nord Stream 1, which was responsible for supplying the European Union with 1/3 of Russia's gas before it was shut down in September. Additionally, the Yamal Peninsula in West Siberia will be connected to the Russian gas network via the Power of Siberia 2. This implies that Russia can now export gas to the west or east at any time. It will even double Russia's present gas shipments to China once it is finished. In March of last year, Putin spent 3 days in Moscow meeting with President Xi Jinping of China. When they discussed the Power of Siberia 2, Putin stated that nearly all the details were arranged and that construction would begin in 2024. Putin also declared that by 2030, Russia will provide China with 100 million tons of liquefied natural gas and at least 98 billion cubic meters of gas. Since 2006, Beijing and Moscow have discussed constructing a gas pipeline across Mongolia. They are unable to come to a consensus on China's share of the gas price, though. Furthermore, Russia was unwilling to supply gas to China unless it would reap significant financial rewards. Furthermore, Gazprom constructed the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines to supply Europe with additional Yamal gas. In order to sell gas to China, they also launched the Eastern Gas Development Program in 2007. Gas from Eastern Siberia, Power of Siberia 1, and the Far East, Power of Siberia 3, will be used in this proposal. Gas production, transportation, and supply to China are all part of the strategy. But experts believe that in order to support Russia's eastward shift and achieve Putin's goal, the Power of Siberia 2 needs to step up and contribute its potential output of 50 billion cubic meters. The Financial Times said in July that although a feasibility study had been completed, the precise course for the Power of Siberia 2 was still up for discussion, according to Prime Minister of Mongolia Unertan Luvzanamsrai. Originally, plans called for building a pipeline to connect the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in northwest China with gas reserves in West Siberia via crossing the Altai Mountains. However, China decided in September 2019 that it would rather take a different path. The revised path would start in Irkutsk, travel across Mongolia, and finish in Beijing. Furthermore, Russia is already sending record amounts of natural gas to Eastern European nations. In 2023, Gazprom used the Power of Siberia 1 to export 15.5 billion cubic meters of gas to China, setting a new record for gas exports. Compared to 2022, this is over 50% more than they produced. The Russian Deputy Prime Minister, Alexander Novak, verified the information provided by Vedomosti Business Media. China National Petroleum Corporation and Gazprom have inked 2 30-year contracts for the delivery of Russian gas. Gazprom is required by the terms of the first contract to provide China with 38 billion cubic meters of gas annually. The second one, which was signed in February 2023, guarantees 10 billion cubic meters of gas annually at pricing denominated in euros. Gas deliveries through the Power of Siberia 3 for the second contract is anticipated to start by 2025, according to Reuters. According to the most recent report from Chinese customs, China's primary gas supplier is now Russia. Actually, China offered more for Russian gas through the Power of Siberia 1 pipeline than they needed on a daily basis. At the start of 2024, Gazprom not only fulfilled the request but also broke the previous record for daily gas exports to China. In January of last year, Russia surpassed Australia, Qatar, and Turkmenistan to become China's main gas supplier. They shipped more than 2.7 billion cubic meters, of which 0.77 billion came from LNG and 2 billion came from the Power of Siberia 1. Australia supplied 1.9 billion cubic meters, while Qatar and Turkmenistan contributed 2.2 billion cubic meters. Gazprom, on the other hand, projects that in 2024 the Power of Siberia 1 would export 22 billion cubic meters. Thus, it appears that the Power of Siberia 1 is forming new geopolitical alliances. This indicates that Power of Siberia 2 will likely deliver considerably more. Gazprom is constructing major infrastructure projects in the gas fields of Kovykhtinsky in Irkutsk and Chyandinsky in Yakutia. In order to boost production by 2025, new gas wells and gas treatment facilities are being built. Large-scale pipeline construction is also underway to transfer gas from Chyandinsky to Blvd. 39% of it has already been constructed. To deliver the gas more quickly, they also intend to build additional compressor stations in 2024. In order to process the gas from both fields, a sizable gas facility known as the Amur gas processing plant is also being constructed. In order to obtain more gas, they are also constructing Kiernsky, a new location, and extending the Sakhalin-Khabarovsk-Vladivostok gas pipeline. Additionally, as of February 2024, China's imports of Russian liquefied natural gas have surged dramatically. According to customs figures, imports totaled 590,400 tons, a staggering 50% rise over the same month the previous year. In January 2024, China increased its imports of Russian LNG by 37% over the same month the previous year. China also witnessed a spike in Russian crude oil imports. At 2.01 million barrels per day in February, Chinese imports of Russian crude oil hit a new high, accounting for about 20% of the global market. According to the data, Russian oil exports rose by 42% annually, outpacing those from Saudi Arabia, the country's second largest supplier. By contrast, Saudi Arabia's daily supply of 1.51 million barrels was 33.1% less than Russia's. On February 23, the research firm Wood Mackenzie published an article on their website. They predicted that of the 2.6 million barrels per day growth in oil demand in 2024, China will be responsible for 1 million barrels per day. This is a result of China ceasing to implement its zero COVID-19 policy. Additionally, Woodmac said that for the first time in 13 months, China's imports of liquefied natural gas have climbed. This could indicate a diversion of LNG supplies from Europe. Despite the ban on direct imports from Russia, an analysis by the non-governmental organization Global Witness on Friday revealed that Russia made an estimated $1.2 billion, €1.1 billion, from fuel sales in the EU last year, thanks to a loophole in EU sanctions that permits imports of Russian crude if it is refined elsewhere. With a brief exception for Bulgaria, the EU has been prohibiting the import of fuels and seaborne crude oil from Russia for over a year. This move is part of an effort by the Union, the US, UK, and other allies to restrict the money that Vladimir Putin uses to fund his conflict in Ukraine. But, Russian crude oil that has been processed into fuels abroad, in India, for instance, can be imported into the EU, and the Kremlin continues to get paid for fuels that have been laundered outside of Russia. An estimated 35 million barrels of Russian oil reached the EU in 2023 as refined petroleum products, according to Global Witness's tracking of seaborne flows of crude from Russia to refineries across the world and then on to the ports in Europe. Although it is impossible to identify individual molecules, Global Witness examined the proportion of Russian versus non-Russian oil used as feedstock in refineries in cases where data was available. The fuel is getting into the EU through a tiny gap in the restrictions that permits goods made from refined Russian oil to enter the country. According to Global Witness, this has led to the creation of a laundromat whereby refineries in nations like Turkey and India may lawfully import cheap Russian crude, process it into goods like gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel, and then sell the finished product to embargoing jurisdictions like the EU. Additionally, Russian fuel is entering the US and the UK through the same opening. 20 out of every 20 aircraft in the UK were using jet fuel derived from Russian oil in August 2023, according to a Global Witness analysis. In November of the same year, Global Witness revealed that 30 million barrels of gasoline were purchased by the US from refineries that buy Russian oil. What are your thoughts on Russia and China? Let me know down below. If you want to continue to learn about business investing and financial education, we have got this video waiting on the screen for you to check out. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.